Hello and welcome. I'm Renuka Methil, the editor of Forbes Women Africa, and I'm here with the Premier of KwaZulu-Natal, Mr. Sihle Zikalala, talking about the Forbes Women Africa 2020 Leading Women Summit happening in Durban tomorrow. The Premier, thank you so much for being here with us today. My first question to you, this is the second time that the Leading Women Summit is coming to Durban, to KwaZulu-Natal. What are your expectations of it this time around?
Well, firstly, we believe that it will grow from what it was last year, given that it is taking place for a second time in our province. We expect more participation from women as the sector, but we also expect that it will emerge with some qualitative resolutions contributing in the development of programs that we are implementing to see transformation, especially women empowerment.
Last year, the Leading Women Summit was headlined by Naomi Campbell. What were the prime takeaways from the summit in 2019?
Main focus was on building the leadership, ensure that women are well positioned, well capacitated to take leadership role, be it government, business, art, or any sector. And I think we are doing well as the province in terms of ensuring that we try to push for the transformation and affirm the women leadership, but not only in terms of leadership, even their standard of living must be improved.
What do you think the Leading Women Summit will do for business in KwaZulu-Natal?
Obviously, this is an opportunity. It grows the business, especially the hospitality industry. They will directly benefit because as we host this summit, number of people arrive coming from various countries, and those people will have to reside, places for accommodation, that then add into the revenue. So it has a very serious economic impact. It will grow the economy, but we're happy that it is now becoming synonymous with Durban.
You mentioned the hospitality industry. How have you increased the inventory in the hotel business in KwaZulu-Natal?
Well, the hospitality industry is working in collaboration with government, especially through the Department of Economic Development, Tourism and Environmental Affairs under MEC Durban, working to ensure that we transform, integrate the people who were previously denied opportunities, but also ensure that we work together to promote tourism in the whole province, because tourism is quite key in growing the economy. Currently, it has been contributing more than 9% of the GDP of KwaZulu-Natal, and it is the same even with the country as a whole.
And what is the level of participation of women in the tourism sector, in the hospitality sector? Has it increased over the years?
Well, we are inspired to see more women employed. But what also heartens us is to see women being affirmed in leadership. We see more of managers and directors in some of these hotels being women, and that augurs well for our transformation agenda, because we would want women not only to be employed, but also to be in charge, to own businesses, but also to manage business.
What is the level of female entrepreneurship in this province? We hear a lot of stories of success coming out of here, but how have you promoted the female entrepreneurship in the province?
It is growing. We will say, compared with previous years, we've done very well. We know that in each sector, women are involved. They are involved in construction through human settlement. They are there, they are involved. They are involved in transportation, they own public transport. They are involved in a number of economic sectors, and we are happy that they are all there. Secondly, even in terms of employment, they are involved, and there are no areas where you would not find women. And therefore, the growth is quite well. We see also young women taking positions, be it in government, be it in public, in administration, academia, as well as business. So that growth is quite very good for the transformation and the society we are building.
You've been a great promoter of women's participation in government. About more than 60%, there's more than 60% of female representation in government. How have you brought that about?
60% of ministers in our provincial cabinet are women. And that is what we have agreed on as a ruling party, the African National Congress. We will continue to affirm the women leadership. That does not only start and end at a level of the cabinet. Even in the representation in the legislatures, we always emphasize the balance, gender balance. But that should not only be confined in government, the private sector should also equally do the same.
Durban is the biggest port in Africa, and you mentioned the maritime industry. How are women involved in the blue economy in KwaZulu-Natal?
I think it's one area that needs more attention, but we are doing what we've been doing, some interventions. Firstly, in terms of maritime, we are working on the issue of ship building and repair. It's one program that is there. But also, we are working on cruise tourism. As we talk, Transnet is building a terminal for cruise here in KwaZulu-Natal. And women are part of those who are employed. And that is good for us. We have also agreed that in terms of fishing along the coast, we have allocated licenses to communities along the coast. And the majority of those people come from rural background and are women. We are happy that today in our State of the Province address, we also announced that the Department of Economic Development, Tourism and Environmental Affairs will be building fish processing facilities for these women who are along the coast. So these are projects that are key, tangible, and making change.
When is this coming on course?
We are going to start it in this financial year that is commencing. So as we start April, we will be starting the implementation of this development because we want to see people participating in the mainstream economy.
With business coming into the port, and if we can move on to a more topical question, how is Durban, how's KZN preparing itself for a likely coronavirus outbreak in Africa?
Well, this is a world threat. It is a challenge that is facing all of us. But as government of KwaZulu-Natal, we are ready. We have deployed, working with national, some people in our ports and in our borders. But as the province as well, we have made and we have kept hospitals alert. The Grace Hospital, Eddington Hospital, Ngwelezane Hospital, and Manguza hospitals are prepared. We have prepared those hospitals for any threat when it comes to readiness to mitigate and deal with the effect of coronavirus.
How do you think this will affect the cruise liners and the maritime industry in KwaZulu-Natal? It's going to affect the entire world, but of course, more specifically, how are you preparing yourself for it?
Well, obviously, coronavirus has already impacted negatively on the economic growth. We are trying, all of us as the country, to mitigate its effect, but we don't believe it will have major impact. We're trying, we know that it will have an impact, but we believe it will not be so bad, and that's why we are now working on mitigating factors.
The Leading Women Summit is tomorrow. What do you think about the speaker lineup?
We're quite impressed, and it brings quality, and it will help us to ensure that even engagement at a high level, and it will also assist us to inspire young people so that we build that self-confidence among and for our girls, so that they grow up understanding that they need to ensure that they uplift themselves and not depend on anyone.
Thank you so much for your time today, Premier. That was the Premier of KwaZulu-Natal, Mr. Sihle Zikalala, and this is Renuka Methil signing off.